Welcome troops, it's me the Tactical Brit, and recently I've been very lucky to get hands-on with Star Wars Battlefront 2 at DICE Stockholm. More specifically, some of the modes including Galactic Assault, Starfire Assault, and even Campaign. Now, Starfire Assault is probably becoming one of my babies. It's like this really interesting, cool game mode, and it's more or less something that I actually feel comfortable and good at when playing Star Wars Battlefront 2. I tend to be pretty good with most shooters, but I really enjoyed Starfire Assault. It's becoming like a religious thing, I don't know. It's something that I'm diving into quite a lot, and probably something I'm going to be playing relatively consistently over launch. And during the actual recording event for this thing, it was just a blast, man. I finished MVP like 7 or 8 times, and I really do find a lot of fun and enjoyment out of just blowing X-Wings and TIE Fighters out of the sky. But enough of all of that. I felt like today I could throw you guys some tactics and tips that will genuinely improve how you approach Starfire Assault and will maximize your kills. It could be a very disorientating game mode. When you dive into this thing, there are explosions popping off everywhere, there's objectives going on everywhere, and getting to grips with actually how to take out other ships effectively and avoid being taken out yourself can be quite a challenge, and it's a huge learning curve for a lot of people. Now today I want to introduce to you my own formula and tactic for playing Starfire Assault, which is something that I adopted in this recording event, as well as something I trialed in previous instances of playing Starfire Assault before the game was released, and this is called the Guerrilla Tactic. Now this tactic works by exploiting some of the gameplay dynamics that unfold in Starfighter Assault. What tends to happen in this game mode is that clusters of gameplay are centralized around objectives, and the manner in which enemies deploy into the game mode reinforces this. So to give you an example of this, let's say the objective is to attack a certain station or a certain power core. Now, what tends to happen in this instance is that you'll get a large number of ships deploying at any given time, maybe 4 or 5 in a single wave. Now, this single wave tends to go straight into the objective and engage in multiple different battles with your teammates. Now, because this starts unfolding, you get this huge cluster of confusion surrounding the objective. People are taking the objectives on and trying to blow them up, other people are dogfighting other people, and things get very messy very quickly. But what you can do in this situation is create a method to the madness, and this is something that I utilized whilst recording some of this gameplay. Now, when confronted with this style of gameplay where things get very chaotic, it's actually very easy to exploit the situation on simple movement and simple engagement tactics. And this is something that you can utilize and use that will maximize your kills, likely improve your effectiveness on the objective, and reduce the amount of times you are killed yourself. Now, I strongly recommend using the Interceptor class for this, mostly because speed and power are something that's very important, and later on when you start unlocking things, look at things such as tuned lasers, which can increase your damage output and how many lasers you can fire, as well as in boosting your speed. This really isn't something about retaining health. The Interceptor class is notorious for being a relatively weak ship that can't take a lot of damage, but it's more about your ability to have a lot of speed and your ability to land a lot of hits very quickly. Now, guerrilla warfare, which is where the name has come from, is a slash and grab tactic. You run in, you smash in with a small group, and then you back out. You don't continue a sustained combat effort, it's lots of in and out conflicts that you utilize. In modern terms, the Vietnam War and the Viet Cong actually utilized guerrilla warfare because they have small infantry groups that would go in, cause a lot of trouble, and then extract out. And the same principle is going to apply to what we're going to do with ideally the Interceptor class. Now, when you have these clusters of gameplay that are being centralized on the map, your job is very simplistic. You have to fly in, commit to a strafe run to take out targets or the objective, and instinctively fly out. You have to have very direct flight paths that you have predetermined and things that you aren't going to stray away from. The only time when it's acceptable to stray away from something like this is when you're engaging a target that you feel as though you can take out relatively quickly. The last thing you want to do is become another victim of confusion. If you go in on a strafe run, end up dogfighting with somebody, and end up spinning around them or around each other, and allow yourself to get picked off by somebody else who is entering within a wave, it just doesn't work. Because people spawn in waves and because they come in a wave-based format, there will be situations where if you're in that central cluster of confusion taking on enemy opponents, a new wave is going to have direct lines of sight into what's going on. They'll see you in a distance, they'll see that you're engaging one of their teammates, and they'll instinctively blow you up. You will be the first target on their mind, you'll be clear as day, you might think you're pulling off really cool maneuvers by spinning around your enemy and trying to confuse them, but realistically, to somebody who's a few hundred meters away from you, you're just spinning around in very small circles for them. They can line you up and take you out very easily, which is why a strafing tactic is so essential, and why a guerrilla tactic especially is even more essential. Think of it this way. Rather than spawning in, flying into the confusion and dying and then spawning in again, you're effectively going to spawn in, fly in, take out a few people, fly back to where you probably spawn in the first place, and then repeat that. It's almost like you're respawning yourself but without the explosions and dying involved. It's allowing you to set up different runs, and it's allowing you to take out and pick your targets with a little bit of sensibility rather than just smashing into any confusion. Now, my biggest suggestion for this is to go in fast. The last thing you want to do from deployment is waste time getting to the objective and waste time taking out enemy players as well. So I would activate a speed boost if you've got it, or just simply go full speed as fast as humanly possible towards the objective. Slow down as you start hitting around about the 200 meter mark away from your objective. This will give you time to analyze the situation that's going on, as well as picking out your targets and objectives that you're willing to attack. And once you've done that, you need to commit. You really do need to commit to a target, you need to take them out, and you need to break contact the second you have done that. If you strafe 1 or 2 ships, maybe even 3 or 4 if you're feeling a little bit hot and you're feeling like you can get away with it, once that is done, you need to extract away from the actual objectives and centrals of confusion, and then complete the same task again. Loop back around, speed out into the distance, loop back around, speed back into the confusion, pick your targets, align the strafe, complete the strafe, repeat. Doing this over and over again will allow you to create multiple different entry points in and around the objectives and in and around the enemy opponents that will completely wipe the floor with them. And like I said, if you start to feel pretty confident with this thing, you can actually stay within those zones for a little while longer, take out multiple different players, and then just completely boost out of it again. This system is not one for people who are interested in muscling off lots of different opponents. You will have very minimal health. The second a ship lines you up as an interceptor, you are likely going to die near enough instantaneously, which is why the strafing component is so important. You need to be in and out as fast as humanly possible and just get the job done without straying too far into the actual general confusion and combat that is taking place. So guys, that's it for my video today. I hope that helps you out with Starfighter Assault. I hope it gives you a tactic that you can utilize and use and try and maximize kills and your effectiveness on objectives. Like I mentioned, this can be a very confusing game mode, so having a go-to tactic and a sort of foundation to work off of can be very damn good. As always guys, it's been me, the Tactical Brit. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you again soon in another video.